Okay, so since we've been talking about the behavioral heat map, let's discuss that next, right? So down at the bottom of the page here is this indicator called the behavioral heat map. And this has actually gone through several upgrades as well in the time that I've been working with this. And one thing that I really appreciate is up here in this area, you'll see as I move my cursor around, it gives different details like the date, the closing price, if there's an uptrend, or if there's even a buy or sell signal associated with that trend. But you'll notice as well the heat map value. So G35, for example, R23, for example. This I find to be really useful. I like to trade around this actually. Whenever I'm trading and I'm going long, I don't want to get into a stock that's too far greedy, right? Whenever I'm trading this, I'm like, okay, I want people to be greedy with the stock, but if they get over greedy, if it gets too green, then I don't want to be in that stock anymore, because like you mentioned just a minute ago, the corrections can occur, especially when you've run out of buyers, right? When you've run out of buyers, who's left? It's only sellers. And the same thing is true maybe on the other side, right? When it's deep red, you've run out of sellers, and then people are looking to start buying once again. So if you don't mind, just give me some breakdown on this behavioral heat map and what goes into it, and maybe how you trade around it.
So think about it on this particular data point. It's like for that stock, you have investors, market participants who are trading that stock. And we have a way to measure what kind of behavior they are exhibiting, like what is their sentiment is. So it's essentially, we are able to track that. And it took us like many years actually to develop this algorithm. It's not like happened like in a week, but it essentially is telling you whether the investors have overreacted, right? So when you see those red zones, red color in the heat map, or green or darker green, so it measures the degree to which these investors, not just one investor, group of investors, over like react day to day for that stock. And I'm not talking about the price. Okay, there is a correlation with the price, but we are able to capture, how do I put it, that overreaction, whether it is pushing the stock down or if it is pushing the stock up. That's how you are seeing those red and green. So if it is increasing, R12 from R12 going to, let's say, R45, right? So you will probably see that price is also falling down. Why? Because right now investors are overreacting, and because of that overreaction, the price is falling. And for the ease of use, we are able to show it in this heat map in this way. So essentially, the red heat map is the overreaction of investors that pushing the price down, and green heat map is essentially the reaction of the investors, which is kind of pushing the price up. The key here is at some point of time they turn around, right?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's where your oscillator actually add value, because if market is falling downwards, reversal points are so important, because without them you cannot gauge if it is changing direction or not. And that's where your oscillator actually help to identify those reversals very accurately.
So what are some of the components that go into the behavioral heat map, right? Like I'm a price trader, and whenever I hear about behavior, what goes into that? I have no idea.
Yeah, so it's a lot of, like, over period of time, we started with a lot of data points. We started with your, price, volume, all of those data points. And then we also started scraping a lot of data from internet. We also buy a lot of, sentiment data. We also scrap a lot of sentiment data. And we have some internal algorithm to build kind of, we transform some of this data that we collect. We buy some unique data from some of the providers, and then we have a way to transform this data internally so that it actually reflects what these investors are kind of going with, whether they are like fearful or greedy, which kind of correlates whether it's pushing the price or down or up. So it's kind of a complicated algorithm, but we have probably more than, I would say, ton of data points that go into. And we didn't have an answer early on. Honestly, I didn't know the exact recipe. And that's why I said it took us years to build this, because there was one core algorithm that we started with, that Mark actually came up with. And then we kind of added the AI component on top of it, and started adding all of these data points on top of it. because it's very important to measure this correctly. And if you look at how it is doing, you'll see it's so powerful. You'll see
Mhm.
it's so powerful actually that, if you know about it, like if you're watching it, if you're learning about our heat map and oscillator, if you are able to kind of get used to these two data points, I think you'll probably don't need anything else, in my opinion. Of course,
Very
these
cool.
uptrend, downtrends, all of these things help. Signals, of course, help because you need to know where the opportunities are.